All right, I got this video right here from Legendary Drops. It's talking about Schedule One of I. It's not a lawsuit. I know I heard from I think the other game that's I think writing a petition. I think that's what it's called. It's not a lawsuit. The thing that you do before a lawsuit. Same shit Drake's doing. Like it's literally that on Schedule One just for I think the reasons they stated were it was game mechanics, which is just weed and then selling drugs and shit. I don't really know. And then there was another one of I think they said the way that they were using what's his name? That guy's uncle, I think it was from the guy that helps you out. I think they were saying somethings about that. But I'm sure he's gonna be going in deeper, explaining on what the hell's going on. But I think it's just dumb that that whole thing shouldn't even happen.
Have you guys noticed how increasingly more common it's becoming for some of these indie games to come out of left field and just
Yes, these indie games are coming out of nowhere and they are making hits. I've seen like so much like going starting from the earliest was Power Worlds, and then it was Bad Company. I think that's what it's called. Lethal Company. Lethal Company, and now I was seeing like Repo going, and then Schedule One. So like, I probably missed some other ones, but this game is so damn good.
absolutely decimate. I'm talking player numbers and sales that are embarrassing AAA games.
Yeah, I think I seen Schedule One's numbers hitting like 300K.
Games made by one guy beating teams of 1,000 developers, tens of thousands if we're going to count Ubisoft in this conversation. Well, probably not for long, but Schedule One is a game about friendship. It's about making connections. It's about starting from the bottom and working your way up. It's a game about drugs. It's a game about drugs, which makes it all the more ironic for how addicting the game is to play. But I'm seeing this game all over the place. It's on Twitter, it's on Reddit, it's on YouTube, it's on Twitch. My buddy who just got his first gaming PC opens up Steam for the first time, and it's the first game that he buys. Games like Schedule
You can't blame him. The game really is good.
One are becoming a problem because these games are beating out games that are spending hundreds of millions of dollars.
I think I seen somewhere that it passed Monster Hunter Wilds, and I think that's crazy.
To make their games. They're doing it without any marketing. And worst of all,
yeah, I seen no marketing on this game whatsoever.
They're cutting
that shit
out
just
the
came out of
middleman.
nowhere. Yes, and that is what I'm liking too. They got no company that they like publishing the game on. They publishing it on their own, and they're popping off on like that shit's crazy.
You can't have that. Because once you start doing those kind of things, when you have that kind of freedom to create and you're reaching that kind of success,
that's what I'm loving
you're gonna
too.
start to attract some unwanted attention, and that's exactly where Schedule One is today. So today what I want to do is I want to talk about the insane success of Schedule One, my experience playing it, and why an industry that's ran by investors can't let games like this exist. Schedule One released 2 weeks ago, and within days, it had already climbed the Steam charts. As of recording this video, it is #1 top seller on Steam. It is #4 for concurrent players,
and the fact that it's $20, can't even go wrong just purchasing that, and you supporting an indie
recently
devs.
Hit a peak of over 450,000 concurrent
players.
Oh
shit, the all-time is
340,000 concurrent players per day. It's currently outperforming Path of Exile, which just released new content, edging out Monster Hunter Wilds after its first title update, and it's completely humiliating the quadruple A spectacle that is Assassin's Creed Shadows. Schedule One is another entry in what is becoming an increasingly common trend: indie developers releasing games with little to no marketing and watching them explode across the internet. Think Undertale, Stardew Valley, Vampire Survivors, Valheim, Palworld, Balatro. Games made by a single developer or a tiny team delivering exactly what players have been missing and absolutely dominating the charts. The game was developed by Tyler, an independent developer out of Sydney, Australia, working under the name Tyler's Video Game Studio. I laugh every single time.
I don't even wait. Is that what's under publisher of the publishing?
I read that. Tyler handled nearly every aspect of the game himself, designing the game, programming it.
Wait, was it just
and
one
the
guy?
art, but he had some help with collaborators like K Soul, who's the one that composed the game's catchy
So
soundtrack.
it's more.
Seriously, I've been jamming that music in the background while I've been writing now. And Cody 2, who created some of the game's graffiti. Now, despite its niche, the game has resonated with an enormous audience, and I think part of that has to do with
From what I've experienced, this shit hits.
the genre. Schedule 1, at its core, is just a crafting sim. You start with nothing and you work your way up through progressively more complex crafting systems, increasing your wealth, unlocking
And you
more
could create
neighborhoods,
some
and expanding your
random ass
influence. It's
weed.
a familiar loop, or one that I've definitely hooked myself on quite a lot with games like Terraria, Valheim, Enshrouded, or Minecraft. But Schedule 1's twist is the
I don't
plot.
even know if
You're
I should be
essentially
saying
a
that on
small-time dealer,
YouTube.
growing your own product,
I just
refining
say
it,
I just say
selling it,
Zaza.
and building out a crew to be able to help you scale out. I've personally sunk over 50 hours into the game now, and I've nearly unlocked everything short of the final neighborhood. And I'm completely sold. I keep playing the game every chance that I get. I love games like this, open-ended crafting sims where you get to define the pace yourself, experiment with systems, and you get to feel like your time that you're investing into the game directly.
And it doesn't even hold your hand. When I first started playing this, it was like right away from like the first night that you are in that other town. Like I was just right there running around doing anything.
Translates to actual growth within that game. You can be methodical, you can squeeze every little bit of value out of all of your resources, or you can brute force your way through, scaling up as fast as possible. Hell, you can even automate the entire process, so the game basically just plays itself. It's up to you. Don't laugh at me for getting technical, but what I think makes this game really special is how seamlessly it transitions between its two core gameplay loops, production and social progression. The first loop, growing and crafting, is simple at first. Plant a seed, water it, harvest the flower, but over time you start to get access to additives, fertilizers, environmental controls, and scalable infrastructure. Every plant then has its own unique traits, cost, potency, NPC demand, then comes in the mix.
There is so much shit you could purchase in this game. It is crazy that probably other developers would try to just sell as DLC to just get more money out of it. And this is all for the price of $20.
Mixing system where you can start to enhance products with different effects, like making NPCs shoot out lightning, walk around on clouds, or turn them into aliens or zombies. It's ridiculous, but it serves a purpose to increase the product's price and its appeal to your customers. I found myself lost here for hours experimenting with different mixtures and different orders of those mixtures and different effects that they could have, and now I have an 8-buff recipe, completely automated, and it's listing the product for over $1,000. That feels good. Which then that brings me to the game's second loop, networking. And as your operation grows, you start to target different specific NPCs based on their preferences. You start to build rapport, earn trust, unlock new customers, recruit new crew members, and eventually get access to new suppliers. They're going to boost your overall operation. It's a system that blends an emergent strategy with good old-fashioned trial and error, and it's surprisingly deep. Look, I'll be honest with you guys, I completely assumed that this game's popularity was mostly due to its shock value. It's not every day that you see a game about selling powder and flour to cartoon NPCs become a top seller, but the longer I played, the more I realized how satisfying all of its core systems really are. It's not just the subject matter, it's how involved you are in the process. And honestly, I think that's something that a lot of modern games have largely forgotten. In a lot of ways, the game actually reminds me of all the things that I really loved about Kingdom Come Deliverance, which is a crazy comparison to make when you think about it. But when you're crafting a potion in that game, you're picking the herbs, you're grinding them manually, you're boiling them, you're maximizing your yield based on real input, you're smithing swords with a hammer and timing it perfectly, you're controlling the temperature, you're
I never played that game, so I don't know nothing about all that.
This game makes you feel like you're doing that sort of work. Schedule 1, despite its goofy presentation, accomplishes something very similar here. You're adding ingredients, you're testing combinations, you're watching the effects, packaging your own product, and you're hitting the streets to make sales. The feedback loop is immediate and immersive, and it's not about watching a progress bar, it's about feeling like you're actually earning something by doing it. And it never loses its charm. The art style is crude in a deliberate way, full of
and the police chasing this is crazy too. They just stay on you.
Absurd and surreal looking NPCs with exaggerated animations. You're hiding in dumpsters. The game's fastest vehicle is a golden skateboard, and you're brewing concoctions that warp the laws of nature itself. But underneath all of that madness is a tight, responsive, and deeply satisfying gameplay loop. You're laughing one minute and you're planning your expansion strategy the next. I love that every system feeds into one another. Want to automate your production? Well, you're going to need to build out, buy some infrastructure, and hire some employees. Want to scale up quickly? Well, you're going to need to build rep with your suppliers to be able to make more product. Want to maximize your profit? Well, you're going to need to mix with precision and cater to customer demand. Yet at the exact same time, you can ignore all of that if you want. But if you want to dive in, you're rewarded for it. There's a surprising amount of freedom in how you approach everything. You can have your crew pushing your product while you're the one that's focusing on crafting. You can work solo and micromanage every step. You can run your empire in real time during the day and then focus on restocking and production at night. The game never really forces you into one particular play style, but everything feels intuitive enough that you always
I just stay in the casino. I just be losing all my money right there just playing 21.
feel like you're making some sort of progress.
That's how I know.
I think what Schedule 1 proves, yet again in this case, especially when it comes to these indie games, is that the gap between indie and AAA has never been wider. I mean, I never take the time to analyze or even notice these kind of things if they even exist in AAA games. Their games are so bloated, overproduced, obsessed with cutscenes and cinematic presentation, often to the detriment of the actual experience. Schedule 1 is the opposite, and I love games
it's not even focused on graphics
like this. So to the players, that's obvious enough. It's lean, it's focused, it's gameplay first, and it works because it never forgets what players are actually here for, to play. Schedule 1 only costs $20. It delivers potentially hundreds of hours of content, strong systems, tons of replay value, and a surprising amount of multiplayer depth. It didn't need a cinematic trailer. It didn't need a live-action ad campaign. It didn't need pre-order bonuses or influencer hype. It just needed to be good, and that was enough. This is going to sound ridiculous. I'm trying to think of the best way to be able to explain it. The graffiti on the wall is oddly relatable.
Yeah, it's just some random shit that you just see out there.
Made this game, and I think that has something to do with the game's popularity, because the inside jokes, the naming of the different products that you can put into stuff, the naming of the product that comes out in the end. I got the whole block hooked on Gorilla Smeg. Like, fucking hilarious, dude. And that's endearing. You want to see that. You see yourself in the game, and you feel like you can relate to the person who made it. I don't feel that way with a lot of games, and I haven't for a long time. And I think that's an incredibly important connection to be able to make. It's one of the intangibles of game design, where you feel like your humor, imagination, your interests are shared by the people that made it. You feel vindicated in that. Like you have something in common. And it's called being in touch with your audience.
Yes.
And I think just about anybody can say that this industry has been way out of touch with its audience for a long time. And I've played a lot of games since starting this channel.
And it's still out.
And at this point, I'm starting to feel like these game developers live in an alternate universe. Nothing feels relatable to me. Everything has to be a tangent to what's going on in the real world. Everything has to have a deeper message. Not everything needs to be like that. It's just not necessary. $20. Another $20 game goes on to sell millions of copies, making a solo developer a millionaire overnight. You know, when this game released and immediately started to find some popularity, the developer went and put the game on sale. Who does that? Somebody that wants to make money. Somebody that knows what you need to do. Make a fun game.
And people will just get on it.
Priced, people buy it.
Yes, a lot.
This isn't rocket science. How many times have I seen these developers that are basically trying to learn astrology?
Yes. And they just always just be saying like, oh, it's like an anomaly. This shouldn't even be happening. And then another one happens. What now? What the hell are you going to be saying? You're going to be saying the same shit? Like, no, bro. It's obviously something that they're doing that y'all just can't copy.
Figure out what players want. Maybe if we read their horoscopes. Then you have a game that makes it where you can put horse glaze and chili powder into something to set somebody's hair on fire and give them a long face. Monkey brain me like game, me give money. It's not that hard. It's really not that hard. But that scares these C-suite executives because they don't understand the popularity, the virality, the
because they can't predict this shit.
Relatability of these games because they can't reproduce it. They can't crack the code on this kind of thing. And because of that,
all they can do is just make copies.
Is to suppress it. It's actually kind of insane how often we're seeing some of these viral indie hits run straight into some form of cold corporate or bureaucratic resistance. Yes. Whether it's from
Power World, I've seen that one with Nintendo, and now I'm seeing it with Schedule 1. and I don't even know if there's anything else.
Platform policies, rating boards, legal ambiguity, or flat out attempts to suppress or discredit them. There is a growing pattern here. A developer releases something fresh and unexpected, it takes off, and suddenly they're in the crosshairs. Not because they did anything wrong, but because they succeeded outside of the system. When you take a moment to look at the legal and bureaucratic minefield that these indie developers have to tiptoe around just to be able to release a game, it's genuinely surprising that we ever see anything original at all. The modern gaming landscape isn't built to encourage creativity, it's structured to protect existing power, intellectual property, and investor interests. In some ways, the system is designed to suffocate innovation unless it's coming from an approved source. I mean, Balatro got slammed by ratings boards for supposedly promoting gambling just because it used...
Yes, I've seen that shit too. That is promoting gambling when it's a fucking... I think it's a card game. And you got shit like FIFA still going. Or like 2K, and then like every freaking year you just constantly paying for the same shit.
Poker hands in a scoring system despite no real gambling mechanics being in the game whatsoever. Palworld came under fire for copying Pokemon, even though the gameplay is wildly different because Nintendo's patent net is so wide that even breathing now seems like it's lawsuit worthy. I mean, while in litigation with Pocket Pair, Nintendo is still trying to file new patents to retroactively catch them on. It's reaching a point where making a game that even feels familiar or is using visual shorthand that players understand can get you pulled from storefronts and buried in lawsuits. Now we have Schedule 1.
Yes, and you're not gonna, like, nobody anywhere is gonna be having the, or is gonna be able to have like any creativity to just do something, because all these other companies are just gonna be out here putting patents on everything.
Andrew Heighton of Insider Gaming in an article titled Schedule 1 being investigated for IP copyright infringement claims. They write, evidence on the investigation surfaced on a website, Pab Business, featuring a document entitled Movie Games Essay 17-2025, Decision to Commence Investigation Against the Creators of Schedule 1 Production for claims regarding the infringement of the issuer's IP and related to committing an act of unfair competition against it. Movie Games SA has its own series of drug dealing games, Drug Dealer Simulator 1 and Drug Dealer Simulator 2. While the name is more overt than its goal, both titles have attracted thousands of players respectively. The legal document mentions potential infringement of the issuer's intellectual property rights and activities that bear characteristics of unfair competition have been identified. Ergo, Schedule 1 is too similar to the Drug Dealer Simulator series. Proceedings began as Schedule 1.
It's literally about selling drugs. Like, what the hell are they gonna be doing? You can't just go and then sue something for like, hey, he's copying me. What is he doing? Selling drugs. We did that first. What? Like, nah, you dumb.
One released on March 24th and featured a comparative analysis of the IP, which includes Drug Dealer Simulator and Drug Dealer Simulator 2 and the Schedule 1 project.
And I think I seen too that they put the first simulator game being on a sale. I think it's like $10 or $5 that I seen. I can't remember, but it's one of those two. And I just seen a bunch of people just start down what you call that shit? Down rating. And that shit's crazy.
The investigation is strongly looking into elements of the game's plot, mechanics, as well as UI user interface. It finishes by saying, the issuer will immediately inform about further actions related to the pursuit of claims regarding the infringement of the issuer's IP and the act of unfair competition in subsequent current reports. Yeah, I'm gonna take a wild guess here and say the unfair competition they're referring to is the part where Drug Dealer
they
Simulator
not even
1
making,
and 2
like, yes, look at those numbers. Hold on, let me move this. Like, oh my god, bro, just look at the numbers, bro. It is crazy. Oh shit, I moved it too far. Like, it is crazy. You see that it's right here, like right now, and then you got the peak right here being almost 10K, and then you got this one not even beating the other one. Wait, is it? It is the second one, and this is the first one. And it is just, damn.
Couldn't even crack 20,000 players, while Schedule 1 is one of the most talked about and
yes,
played games
and it is
right
good.
Now. At least with Nintendo and Palworld, you could kind of see where that lawsuit was coming from. The creature designs, the ball throwing mechanics, they were all surface level elements that were echoing Pokemon. Even with Temtem, they got out of the way of Nintendo by making sure they were using cards instead of balls. But this investigation against Schedule 1 feels completely out of pocket. It's not just a stretch, it's embarrassing that they're even trying. I've taken the time to check it out,
it's literally the same thing. You do it in the real world too.
Significant with their games whatsoever. The crafting, the progression loops, the interface, the tone, it's all completely different. To be honest, Ubisoft has a
God
stronger
damn, why
claim
that
against
look
them ripping off a Far
confusing?
Cry than they do against Schedule 1. In their games, you start off as a low-level pusher working for somebody else, then slowly build out your own operation. It leans way harder into weighing product, micromanaging dead drops, dodging rival gangs, and ferrying shipments across different islands. It's less of a game and more of a chore simulator. Sure, they both have similar themes, but if having drugs as your premise is going to be the trigger for legal action, by that logic, are they going to go after Breaking Bad next?
Yes,
After
like
news of
it's doing the same
investigation broke,
shit.
media outlets jumped the gun and ran with headlines saying that Schedule 1 was facing an active lawsuit. The internet then did what it does best. Players
And if this were to ever even take a chance going to court, like that's just gonna set a bad precedent on any other things in the future. That is like small, and then just getting sued right out from that shit. Like, that is just dumb.
flooded Drug Dealer Simulator 1 and 2 with negative reviews, dragging the game into a storm that they weren't ready for. In response
They
to this,
weren't.
the developers posted a statement on Steam clarifying the
They said it's not me, it's them. Like what?
situation. To paraphrase a little bit, they're saying that there is no lawsuit, that they're not trying to shut down Schedule 1, and the investigation was only launched after repeated comparisons between the two games raised concerns.
Because
Since
they
Movie
sell
Games
drugs,
SA
bro.
is
Like
a
what?
publicly traded company, they claim that they are legally obligated to investigate potential infringement and disclose it through proper stock market channels, ESPI. The media then picked it up from there, and the story spiraled out of control. They also then clarified, saying that the developer of Drug Dealer Simulator, Byte Runners, isn't involved at all. It's strictly a publisher-level decision. The post then closes with them insisting that there is no bad blood and that they even sent Schedule 1's developer best wishes before the game blew up. But whether it's legal obligation or damage control, it's clear that this isn't the kind of attention that they were expecting. And this is where things get really weird for me, because there was a second
They're
response,
dumb for
and
even
this
trying
time
to
it was from the
attempt to be
actual
doing any of that.
developers at Byte Runners, where I think the first response was actually written by their publisher, and it's kind of a plot twist. In a statement that they posted on Twitter, Rafal, the CEO and developer of the Drug Dealer Simulator series, basically said, "We had no idea that this was happening." According to him, the development team wasn't informed of the investigation at all, and they only found out when the story blew up online, claiming that they were just as blindsided as everyone else. He writes, "In light of the recent..."
And it's funny too, because I think I also seen somewhere that the lawsuit literally, or the pre-lawsuit literally dropped. I think either day of or day after the game Schedule 1 released.
Movie Games versus Schedule 1 legal investigation controversy, I would like to state that we, Byte Runners, the development studio behind Drug Dealer Simulator series, do not have any ill intentions towards neither Schedule 1, TVGS, or the game community. Actions taken by our publisher, Movie Games SA, are a part of an internal policy and business interest, which we have no influence over. We were not informed of their plans and were also surprised by this course of action. We are currently in talks with Movie Games on this matter. For now, we do not want to publicly neither condone nor approve of the actions before these talks have come to any conclusions." I think basically this dude is saying, we don't know if it's good or bad for us yet, so we need to wait to figure it out. We would like to ask everyone on both DDS and Schedule 1 communities to be patient and not spread unnecessary negativity or misinformation. We congratulate the success of Schedule 1 to TVGS and would like every gamer to enjoy and support any game they choose. Our main focus as the dev team is improving the DDS IP, which also includes learning on the Schedule 1 massive success and its and our community feedback on it. All we ask for now is your understanding.
All that just to still get cooked.
Tone here couldn't be any more different from the original Steam post, where the publisher had framed the investigation as a necessary legal procedure. The developer comes off as almost embarrassed by the entire thing. Then they go out of their way to distance themselves from the publisher's actions, saying that they don't condone or approve of anything yet?
Yes.
What does that even mean? And now they're just waiting for internal talks? I'm just going to go with my gut here and say they didn't expect the backlash to be this bad. There is no chance, there is no way that you are going to convince me that your publisher, without any communication, suddenly launched a legal investigation on your behalf using your game as a basis without you knowing anything about it.
It is just
that is
crazy.
not how legal prep works. To even begin an investigation like this, you need access to build files, source assets, system documentation, something from the development team to be able to make the comparisons necessary for a legitimate IP case. So either you were involved and now you're walking it back, or your publisher went rogue and dragged you into a legal case without any warning and snuck into your office and stole the files. Neither one of those look very good. And even if for whatever reason Byte Runners wasn't involved in this decision, I'm sorry, this is what comes with the territory when you sign up with a publisher.
When you sign up, yeah.
Tyler didn't. He developed and published Schedule 1 himself. Every decision he makes, every success or controversy,
gonna be on him.
It's all on him.
Yes.
Once you hand over the reins to a publisher, you are also signing up for all of their baggage, the legal departments, the investor meetings, the risk management, the corporate damage control. You don't get to opt out when it gets uncomfortable.
No,
and the
you
claim
up
that
there
the
with the highs and
investigation was
lows.
already in motion before the game took off, total bullshit. The investigation was formally initiated on April 3rd. Schedule 1 launched on March 24th.
Yes, this was exactly what I'm talking about.
And by the 30th, it had already hit over 400,000 concurrent players. This wasn't some long-planned legal strategy. Otherwise, why would you guys have sent them a congratulations email? It was a knee-jerk response to getting blown out of the water. I don't know about you guys, but from where I'm sitting, this looks like a textbook case of a publisher, and more likely their board of directors and shareholders, panicking over the fact that the game that they backed didn't deliver, while a solo developer just ate their lunch in broad daylight. So now they're trying to claw back some relevance and revenue through legal pressure instead of actually trying to make games that people want to play. It's all retaliatory. It's all bitter, and it reeks of a system that sees creativity as not something to nurture.
I'm just glad I never even discovered that other game, the other simulator game, because if I would have bought that and then seen all this happening, oh nah.
Something to control. Now, I actually posted this in a response on Twitter to the Byte Runner CEO's letter to the players, but I basically said, yeah, this must suck to be completely powerless in this situation, but this is exactly what you signed up for. And honestly, the more that I think about it, this probably explains why so many of these self-published indie games are blowing up, while these smaller studios tied to these tiny publishers are scraping by. Creative freedom, no bureaucracy, no boardroom full of guys in suits that are second-guessing your every move, just a developer and an idea.
Or in this
and
case,
honestly,
just
that's
him.
probably the conversation that we really need to be having here, because this isn't just about one game or one legal spat. There needs to be a bigger push towards independence in video game development. Too many of these publishers aren't interested in creating anything. They don't build worlds. They don't design mechanics. They don't tell stories. What they do is manage, and in that management, they influence the industry more than they contribute to it. Their primary goal isn't to support creativity, it's to control outcomes. They want to shape trends, shape players, shape spending habits. And when they fund something, that comes with strings attached, strings that always pull in the direction of risk aversion or maximizing.
All they want to do is just release safe games. Like, that is literally the only thing that they're trying to be doing. Safe games to just sell, to just get money. They ain't trying to take risks like how the old CODs were, with no Russia. And there's just so many other shit that actually gonna be going if you actually just right there just going indie.
Profits. Sure, publishers offer funding and infrastructure. They offer visibility, marketing pipelines, access to networks, but it comes at the cost of freedom, of voice, of innovation. How many times have we heard stories about developers that were pressured into adding in microtransactions that they didn't want to put into their game? Or how many times have we heard about games that were forced to pivot towards live service even when that didn't fit their vision? These decisions rarely come from the development team themselves. They come from people upstairs, people staring at spreadsheets, not playtests, people who see creativity as a variable that needs to be managed, not a driving force. From my perspective, in many ways, publishers have become the industrialists of this medium. They're more concerned with scalability and litigation than actually making games themselves. They commodify everything about the creative process. They strip out the rough edges, the weird ideas, the risk, and replace them with something that fits into their monetization model of the moment. And then they sit back wondering why none of these games are resonating, why they're failing to meet their sales targets. It's not the players that are the problem. It's not the developers that are the problem. It's the layer that's in between, the suits that are trying to systemize everything that's not meant to be a system in the first place. And the more games that we see, like Schedule 1, that are succeeding without them, the more obvious that.
Yeah, I'm just hoping that other people are actually just seeing that all these indie games are just popping off, and then just other people to just start creating stuff.
Becomes. You know, I think a lot of these publishers and executives that are running these companies are the biggest barrier to creativity and success for the vast majority of these developers. They don't outright build anything themselves. they just go out of their way to try to control it or squash it if it threatens their margins in any way. And that sucks. Not just for us, the players, but also for the people that are making these games. I mean, like, patent laws in general in the video
It's a
game
bad thing.
ecosystem just don't make any sense whatsoever.
Like, you just
all
going
these layers of red tape
block
for something
creativity, and it's just dumb.
that just shouldn't be there in the first place. Even if a developer isn't trying to copy something, they're just going to ignore it or try not to be anything like it just out of the implicit threat that comes from legal action. They just stay away from it. That's why we sit back and wonder why we haven't seen a game like this again, or that, or whatever it might be. You know, in theory, publishers are supposed to be there to be able to make things easier for developers. They're supposed to be able to take care of all the noise.
And yeah, you're just
and
restricting
just
them.
focus on doing what they do best, making video games, and that's about it. But the minute that you start handing over all of that power, all of a sudden you find out that you don't really get to make a whole lot of decisions on your own anymore. That's what's happened to some of these people. When you get in bed with these guys, this is the end result of that. They go out and attack your competition. How does that feel? I can't imagine that feels very good. These guys are creatives. They want to make games. They want other people to be inspired by their work and make games of their own. And now you have to sit back and watch what happens. I'm sorry, man, but you're not innocent in that. And, you know, we feel the effects of it too, without a doubt. We still get some great games, but at the exact same time, I mean, I've had a really weird feeling that things have just kind of felt samey for a really long time.
Yes.
Very samey, very safe in a lot of.
See, yes. Even he's noticed that a bunch of these games just feel safe and just something that are easy. Like Spider-Man 2. That shit was so safe. Like, there was nothing either being well, I mean, obviously there was nothing being controversial. But what I'm speaking of is like the story. Like, from the first Spider-Man game. You out here having you didn't make the choice, but you had that. Well, I mean, you were doing the input of having that choice, but either saving Aunt May or using the serum for the other people. That shit hit. Nothing in Spider-Man 2 has had me like that.
I think that comes from the fact that, you know, if any game tries to.
Besides that side mission. When you're playing, well, I mean, I think you could play as Miles and Peter, but it was of some old man that dies, and I think it has something to do with like protecting the birds or like showing where they're at, something like that. That was the only thing, and it was a side mission.
To make a game like Pokemon, they're gonna get scared away, or they're gonna get sued into oblivion. So many mechanics. I mean, look at the way that Nintendo has litigated and patented just about everything. Sony's been doing the same thing. Look at WB Games and the Nemesis system. Something that would revolutionize RPGs and we'll never see it. Ever. There's such a...
Like with their... What was it? Their Nemesis system?
Poison to this industry. It's insane. And you look around and notice... almost every single one of these breakout hits have always been self-published.
Yes.
And
I'm loving it.
In some cases where these developers did go through a publisher, the only reason they did that was to be able to protect their identity. There needs to be more options for that. That needs to be nurtured and taken care of. There needs to be more developers that are making games themselves, publishing games themselves, and there needs to be an easier way for these guys to get onto platforms without the need of a publisher. There's already ways for them that you don't even need publishers anymore. Sure, for like legal and patent and stuff like that, hire a lawyer, man. Why are you handing away all of your profit, all of your control to a bunch of people that don't want to have anything to do with the creative process whatsoever?
Oh, and they just block any other creativity that you're going to have either from the future updates on the game. They'll just say, nah, that seems like it'll be controversial. Do something safe. Here, sell it for like $20. Like, what the fuck, bro?
It just doesn't make any sense. You can promote your games online with no problem. Balatro had next to no marketing whatsoever.
I didn't see no promotion on that
Schedule
either.
1 had next to no marketing whatsoever. Valheim had no marketing whatsoever. There's so many more examples that I could give of games that never had an ad or a commercial or anything like that. They were just on Steam.
On Steam, and then
People
there
played
it popped off.
People liked it. Spread by word of mouth. Fair price, good game. People go buy it. As far as it needs to go. That's what needs to happen. We need more of it. And I want that to be a big focus. I think Steam is the leader in that. Steam's definitely the one that's been pushing and helping a lot of these indie developers be able to find their legs in the industry. And I appreciate that. I think everybody does. There's a lot of games that we would have never had if it wasn't for Steam. So,
well, I mean, they just took out one game.
Anyway,
from what I've seen, it was that like 2 days ago that it got taken down. Some A-rated game that you can't even find when that shit's unfiltered. And I saw it on Twitter. They were talking about it, and I went and searched it up. Couldn't find nothing. I didn't even know the name of the game. And just seeing, I read the description, and it was nothing, like, it's not even bad from what I've, like, from those other games that are in Steam. And people were saying that this one's worse. I've seen a lot of shit worse over there, bro. But they want to go at that game.
I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you guys did enjoy the video, like the video, subscribe to the channel, comment down below, share the video to your friends, share it on social media. Come watch me on Twitch. Come join the Discord. Come hang out. Stay cool, stay righteous, stay safe. I'll catch you in the next one.
Nah, but like, yes, this whole thing of either publishers just out here trying to go at the little people, bro. Like, damn, do something, bro. Like, do something better than if you scared of a motherfucker that don't really got money on him like that, and you trying to get at him with lawsuits. Like that's just bullying him, man. Like, fuck. Shit. Alright, peace out.